Hey everyone, welcome to another video and thank you for tuning in. First, Happy New Year, and I hope everyone's new year is starting off right and good things are going to happen for you this year. Okay, before I get started, I just wanted to say a quick few words about the holiday update. Not a fan. Unfortunately for me, one of the best or the only feature that seemed like it was worthwhile, the boombox, I didn't get it. So my VIN number on this vehicle is I guess kind of an early production. It was in the 25,000 VIN number range, and I guess I don't have a speaker, so I'm not able to play music outside of my vehicle, unfortunately. So at any rate though, my personal opinion is that the holiday update was more for Tesla than it was for the customer. So, but it is what it is. Some of the animations are much better, but as a whole, I am just not a fan of the update. So that's all I wanted to say. Moving on to the topic of this video, which is taking your Tesla on a 1,500 or 1,000 plus mile road trip. So let's get to it. All right. Well, again, if those of you who are new here, I was planning to go on a road trip, and as soon as the trip actually got real, I started to get cold feet. I was worried about the range. I was worried about where I was going to charge, because I was staying in an Airbnb kind of off the beaten path, and I was worried about getting to a supercharger, or how difficult it was going to be while I was up in the area. And I went to Asheville, North Carolina, and stayed kind of in that area within 50 miles of that area kind of thing. It ended up being really good, and I would highly recommend anybody and everybody take a road trip in an electric vehicle. It's a fun experience. It gives you a lot of confidence in your electric vehicle, Tesla specifically, for me. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. There is a learning curve to it, for sure. But I would say that with these things in mind, you could have a great time. So here's what I learned, and some recommendations for you if you're deciding to go on the long road trip. First is, of all the things that I did, got accounts with Electrify America, ChargePoint, got extension cords, and all these other things, and for the worst case scenario, truthfully, probably the one thing that I did in preparing for the trip that ended up paying off the most was putting PPF on the front bumper. Honestly, I didn't use any of the extension cords. I didn't use any of the ChargePoint or Electrify America. The Tesla charging system was more than adequate. There was a day where it was inconvenient because I had to go 30 minutes out of my way and then 30 minutes back, but it is what it is. As long as you know what you're in for, I think, it kind of just, you can plan around it. But really, the PPF, the paint protection film to protect the front bumper, was, I was just so happy with it. And now, I don't mean like spend $1,000 or, even hundreds of dollars to do the front end of your car. I actually ordered a $56 roll from Amazon, and it was a 12-inch by 96 inches. And I just did primarily the middle strip of my bumper from wheel to wheel. And that saved me from so many rock chips and bug splatter that you couldn't even imagine. I mean, honestly, maybe the way the Tesla is designed, at least the Model Y and the Model 3, probably, because they're so similar, the airflow, the aerodynamics of the car, it just seems to put all of the debris right in the middle, right where you would think the grill would be, right on the front bumper. That's where 95% of all debris ended up. And I could see where in the paint protection film there were, you know, like little nicks and stuff. So that just saved me from a lot of repainting on the bumper. Honestly, I put it on like a 5-year-old would. It was jagged edges, but I just wanted it to last for the 5 days that I was going to be gone. And I'll even show you now me peeling it off.
All right, as you can see, I just applied the PPF in like a really generic way. I just had it covered on the front, and I'm going to tell you, the portion from this ridge right here down to the bottom, right about to the end there, was a part that got hit the worst by bugs and debris. Everything else really did well, so it's just this front portion right here. I didn't even go beyond right here to the edge. So that part's not covered. All of this down here is not covered. And really, at every rest stop or every charging station that I went to, it really seemed fine. That the majority of all the bug splatter was right here. So if you do nothing else, PPF just this front portion. Literally from here over to about there. You know, just this one band. You know, I actually ended up getting a roll of PPF that was a foot by 12 inches by 96 inches, and just chopping it up and putting it on there. Again, not even trying to make it look good. I just wanted protection. But I highly recommend that you do that before your trip. I didn't care about bubbles. I didn't care about appearance. I just wanted the protection. To give you an example, I don't know if you guys can see it, but right here, from right where my finger is, there's no PPF protection. It just goes up to this weird little strip that I put on because I had that left over. So, but at the end of the day, you can see that, you know, that it really didn't matter. All the places that I didn't have covered, like this is not covered, didn't really get the bug splatter, you know. And I'm going to peel all of this off so that you guys can see what I did. Like here, I'll show you. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah. So, and this is just one little piece. It doesn't even go all the way across. You'll see it rip off right here. And then the other one starts. So again, just some kind of protection is worthwhile.
I did it in patchwork. I didn't care about air bubbles, although I did try to get as many as I could out. But I just put it on from the middle section primarily and around the edges. And that was it. I didn't try to tuck it into the side corners or make it look all neat. As a matter of fact, like I can't tell you enough how it looked like some 5-year-old did it. So, but again, it saved the bumper. So spend the $56, or, you know, it was really, like I said, simple to put on, just real quick and easy, and you'll save yourself a lot of headaches afterwards. The second thing that I would recommend is rent a movie on YouTube, or fill your library with tons of things that you are planning on watching that you're actually interested in watching. You know, put it all there and in your history on YouTube, so that when you get to that charging station, once you get a drink or, you know, start eating or whatever, and you put that on, time flies by. The 2 hours probably approximately that I spent at charging stations in total for the 12-hour drive, it made it seem like it went by really fast. So I would highly recommend, again, rent a movie, something that you're really interested or wanting to see, and put it on there. Because like I said, by the time that I got into the movie and had everything, you know, was eating and all that, the charging was done. And there was even a time or two where I was a little annoyed. I wanted to watch more of the movie. So it just kills the time. The third thing, while we're talking about going to the charging stations, if you are going to get let's say a Starbucks or some fast food or something like that, do that before you actually plug in to your supercharger. And I'm guessing that this is going to be the new norm, or at least for 2021 as well. There were a few places that I went to, and I actually, sorry, emergency vehicle going by. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I went to the charging station thinking that, okay, I'll plug in and then I'll walk over to the Starbucks or whatever restaurant and get something to eat and go to the restroom, or get a drink and go to the restroom. Well, turns out because of COVID, they're only allowing customers through the drive-thru. They won't let any foot traffic in there. So you really can't use their restroom in a lot of places. And, you know, again, it seems like it's so simple, but once you plug in, you kind of don't really want to unplug and then run over through the drive-thru and then come back and plug in again, you know. So again, just go to wherever you're going to get food or drinks first and try to use the restroom, see if they have foot traffic or they're allowing foot traffic, so that you know what you can do and what you can't, and then go plug in. And then that way you'll be set and you won't be disappointed, you know, because like I said, I plugged in, went over to Starbucks. They weren't allowing anybody in the building, and the only way I could get a drink was actually to use the drive-thru, which is annoying, you know, but that is the new norm for us. So be aware of that. The fourth thing that I want to bring to your attention is I was fortunate enough to get into some beautiful weather while I was up in the Carolinas. It was a freak storm, super cold, lots of snow. I want to say that Asheville typically that area doesn't get a lot of snow, but I think by the time we left, there was anywhere from maybe 8 inches to possibly even a foot of snow in that area, which was fantastic. But cold weather is a range killer. I cannot tell you enough that it does impact your range. So if you're traveling within the next couple months, where it's still, in a lot of places, it's going to be, you know, freezing or below freezing, be prepared to stop a little more often. And the route planner will do its thing and get you to your charging stations accordingly. But there's going to be a couple more in play, because I can tell you, to give you an example, I want to say it's probably about 20% decrease in the range, and that's significant. There were times where, for example, the trip said I had about 140 miles to my next destination. I had 240 miles of range, according to, you know, what the computer was saying, or what the car was saying. And when I got to my destination, instead of having what I would think would be roughly about 100 miles left over, I had about 60 miles left over. So I mean, don't get me wrong, 60 miles is still a decent buffer, but that 40-50 miles that I lost, you know, when I was only going 140 miles total, that cold weather, just like I said, makes that battery just work hard. You know, it definitely is something, like I said, if you're in cold weather, you should be aware of that your range isn't nearly as much as you would think it would be. So the last thing that I want to bring up, that again, not really a big deal, but you should definitely be aware of and know that it's probably only going to get worse, is how busy the charging stations are. You would think that 8-10 chargers at a location would be plenty, but during peak times, probably mornings 8 to 10, and then like noon or 11 to 1, and then again at 5, maybe 4 to 6 or 4 to 7. those charging stations, seemed like every charging station that I went to was busy during those times. Now, if you travel during the off hours, obviously you'll have plenty of options. You know, on the way home, I actually did an overnight drive, and it was great. And, you know, I was the only one there and whatnot, but, you know, that's no problem. But if you're traveling like regular, you know, people, I can tell you that it gets busy quick. There was twice where I had to wait on a charger, and it wasn't very long, but it was a wait. And it's interesting because as much as I hear Tesla offering other people to come into their network, and possibly companies like Aptera, you know, that 3-wheel vehicle, I mentioned it in a previous video, they look like they're using Tesla chargers. If that comes to be, it's going to get crowded fast. And with the sales of Model 3s and Ys going through the roof, I can only expect that 2021 is going to be great for Tesla, and that means that their infrastructure for superchargers is going to get crowded fast. So again, just be aware that there might be a little wait. Nothing crazy, at least not what I've run into. And, you know, again, my experience is that it wasn't a bad wait, but I was surprised that at some of these larger locations that there was still a wait. And again, I can only imagine that it's going to get even worse with the popularity just going through the roof. So overall, I would highly recommend a road trip. It gives you so much confidence in what your Tesla can do. It gives you an understanding of what you'll need to go through in taking, let's say, a 600-mile drive one way. That, you know, the time it takes, the things that you can do while, you know, you're waiting on charging and whatnot. It's just a really neat experience. It's a good learning experience, and I think it's probably, hopefully, only going to get better from here. You know, if you are going to get a vehicle, if you're lucky enough to get an S where you have 400 miles of range, a trip like what I took would only require one charge, and that would be amazing. I can't tell you how much that would change the game. But it was a fascinating experience to be able to drive that many miles, stop at these convenient locations. They really were convenient, well thought out, and just, you know, very friendly for traveling. You know, again, sometimes the wait, okay, was a little tough when you just wanted to get back, because I can tell you my drive up there was much more fun as normal, you know, traveling, than the drive back home, because the last two stops on my way home, I just really wanted to be back. You know, I didn't want to watch a movie. I just wanted to be back. And plus it was nighttime, and I just was frustrated. But again, that's some of the things that you kind of learn going through this experience. So again, I highly recommend that you do it if you have the opportunity. In total, I want to say my almost 1,400 mile trip cost me $93 and change in supercharging fees. So not bad. It wasn't that much of a savings, I don't think, from gas. I want to say maybe $25, $30 savings in gas, possibly. But at the end of the day, it was a fantastic experience, and it really does show you what your car is capable of. So if you get the chance, do it, guys. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. And remember, go to your car meets, enjoy what you have, and have fun with your mods. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.